This is Tyler and Allison Fuqua, a couple we met in Birmingham, Alabama. Allison has her master's in social work, and Tyler is in the final stretch of medical school. This is Peru, population 29 million, located just south of the equator in western South America. Within Peru's population, there's a group of people who've tragically been forgotten. Tyler and Allison's lives are radically changing the stories of these forgotten people. It all started when Tyler traveled to Peru the summer before his freshman year of college. On that trip, he met a group of street boys that would alter the course of his life. Now, who are these kids? Explain like a little bit to me. I don't know anything about Peru. Who are the kids that are these street kids?
In Peru and really in a lot of South America, the phenomenon of street children is kind of common, unfortunately. And basically, you see in places with a lot of poverty, you'll find families that are very broken. So there'll be this huge family with too many mouths to feed. And what usually happens is the oldest person, usually one of the older boys, has to go, or else the whole family is not going to survive. And so a lot of times you'll see boys, usually around 8 to 12, sometimes as young as 5, being put out on the streets and forced to survive there. It's very common to hear about a street boy being killed in broad daylight in the middle of the city, just because somebody was annoyed by him or didn't think they needed to be around. And so these kids, really, the name street boy is not really appropriate. They don't really live on the streets. There's a lot of places to hide, and you'll see these kids will be hiding in these places, and they basically will hide there as long as they can until hunger drives them out to go find food. And the only way for these kids to get food is, there's two options. They can try to steal something and then trade that for a plate of food, or they can sell themselves sexually as a prostitute. With the stealing, a lot of times if they get caught by the police, they are brutally beaten. A lot of times they'll tie them up, take them down to one of the little prisons, the dungeon of the police station, and they'll cook them around like a soccer ball. They'll pour water on them and put electric wires to them. They'll let hungry guard dogs, bite them, things like that. And so a lot of these kids are just, covered in scars and from where they've been beaten and abused, and then they'll let them go back on the streets and just say, well, that'll teach them a lesson. And of course, that doesn't help to fix the problem at all. They're still back on the streets and they still have to steal to survive. Even though I came to help them for a week, I don't want to be another person who was a part of that cycle of coming and helping them for a little while and then leaving and never coming back to remember them again.
Tyler did go back. He returned the following year, leading a group of college friends to care for these same boys. As the years passed, Tyler and Allison have continued to go back, leading more and more teams of college students to Peru. These trips have expanded their hearts for abandoned people and have grown into what is now an organization called Not Forgotten. Tell me about the name. What's that mean?
The verse that we kind of use, it's Isaiah 49:15 and 16, and it says, can a woman forget her nursing child, that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you. Behold, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. And it's just God saying that even though a mother may neglect her child or abandon her child, He will not forget us. He will not forget the abandoned and the oppressed. He will not forget the street children. We wanted to work with any type of people who, for whatever reason, had been abandoned or forgotten by the people who were supposed to take care of them. Those people have a very special place in God's heart, and God has called us to really serve them. And so we thought, what better name than to say, hey, you're not forgotten.
When I look at the world, it's really easy, even hearing your story right now, it's really easy for me to get struck with just the darkness of it, and just it's just heavy. It's just really heavy to hear, honestly. How do you guys continue to, you smile when you talk about it? Like you've got just this passion, this joy about it, like you see a hope. How do you keep from getting overwhelmed by just the bigness of the situation?
And there are a lot of there are a lot of tears that are shed over these kids, and we're definitely not always smiling about what we get to do. It's hard. It is it's really hard. But it is, the key is, you know, just remembering what God's responsible for and what He is sovereign over and what He's called me to do, and focus on being obedient and bringing Him glory. There's freedom in that. You know, it's not our responsibility to make the change it's just our responsibility to, in each moment, say the right thing, do the right thing, be the hands of Christ, you know, give a hug like Jesus would give a hug, or dry a tear the way that He would. I mean, those little things are what add up and do make a difference.
How does someone begin to get to a place of living out like you guys are, who God made them to be?
Finding something that you really care about, and then just working on figuring out little ways to get to do that on a daily basis.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, I think just find what you're passionate about. You know, if you pursue what you're passionate about and pursue doing that to God's glory, then God will use you. You know, whether that's traveling, or whether that's working with kids, whether that's, you know, something in the arts, whether it's writing, or even whether it's mowing the grass. Like, if you do what makes you come alive, what makes you excited, what you're passionate about, and if you do that to God's glory, then He will use you. And it may not everybody needs to start an organization. Not everybody has to do something like that.
From what I'm hearing, you guys didn't start out with this like huge master plan. God's kind of showed up every step of the way. What's that look like as you've just kind of followed Him in the whole process?
I think that you just kind of have to keep walking with Him and keep trusting that He's going to lay just enough out in front of you for you to take the next step. God's Word says that it's a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. It's not a great sunset. It's not a huge, a spotlight. It's just enough to take your next step. And Tyler and I laugh about that a lot. Just, where do we think we're going to be in 10 years? Are we going to be full-time missionaries? Are we still going to be leading trips down to Peru and raising awareness and staying here and gathering resources and donations and things like that? And we don't know. We have no clue. But we know that we feel like we're where we're supposed to be right now, and we're trusting that God will redirect us, because He's big enough to do that if and when He wants to, and as long as we're listening to Him. And I mean, He hasn't failed us yet.
The things that we start in our lives now are the things that are really going to take hold and take root, and will really set the pace for the rest of our lives. It's so easy after graduating to become complacent and to just accept this American dream of, becoming successful and making money and having this quaint little house and this, quiet neighborhood. But there's so much more to life than that, and just don't be fooled by that dream, and dream bigger than that. Think about how God can use you, and do what makes you come alive. And when you dream and do what makes you come alive to God's glory, then God will do amazing things.